What's up?
Shit, it is fucking Super 8.
You ready to quit your job?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Welcome back to the Amarettos on Armageddon podcast. Today we have our special guest, Zach. Zach, thank you for joining us. How are you? How you doing?
Thanks for creating the space, brother. I'm great. I just got out the garden. I'm a little dirty.
Nice.
But I washed my hands, I promise, before the pod. Still see the dirt under my fingernails. I feel like a homeless man. But yeah, dude, I'm very grateful. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I got the day off. Just finished up doing a tour, truck driving. So now I'm back home and yeah.
Okay. How long you been doing the truck driving?
Probably about 6 years.
Got you. Do you enjoy it? Pay well?
I'm getting a little bit, I'm ready to get out of it. It's the 70 hours a week thing's getting pretty old.
Jeez. Yeah. And 70 hours of driving too. It's such, I mean, not to put your job out there, but it seems pretty monotonous.
Right. Yeah, it does get pretty old. I mean, it's neat driving for like different artists and stuff and like hauling the equipment, but
Oh, you got to do that?
oh yeah. Yeah, that's primarily what I do right now, but
okay. So
both-
so you're not just like bringing stuff to the Amazon
no,
distribution center.
no, it's
Got it.
hauling around like drum kits, rigging, all that fun
okay. Do you
stuff.
get to
Yeah.
stick around for the show once you're there and they're set up?
That's usually when I sleep.
Okay.
So like I sleep during the day, and then once the show's done, we pack the stuff up and we hit the road.
Oh, okay.
So-
So a little thankless there, but
Right.
It's cooler than just a bunch of boxes being in the back, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it's different. It gives me a little more sense of actually being part of my work rather than just driving
Yeah,
down
they
the
couldn't
road.
do what you're
Oh.
doing without you. So that's
Right.
Yeah, it gives you a bit more virtue in the truck driving.
Right.
Yeah. But why do you want
Yeah.
to get out of it? Just because of the long drives, the long hours?
Just the hours. There is no work-life balance. It's pretty much like go to bed, wake up, drive, go to bed, wake up,
and
drive.
oftentimes going to bed somewhere you don't live, which has to
Right.
get old fast.
Oh yeah, truck stops, inner cities. Sometimes they don't end up giving you a bathroom. Like yeah. I'm over it, and the pay
You're a warrior. Dude.
doesn't equate.
Yeah,
the
that's
pay
probably
to-
one of the many things where the money signs for the job did not move along with inflation. Because I think there was a time where truck driving was kind of the hack, where as long as you were willing to sacrifice your life, there was good money on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I started in 2020, the economy was pretty good. And like I was, I'm still roughly around the same amount. Like you said, it didn't grow with inflation. It's around the same amount of money that I was making in 2020. But back in 2020, that was really good money compared to my peers. And then now it's like, nah. my rent just went up $200,
Oh,
like
shit.
it's, yeah. So
I hate that, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Yeah.
a lot of jobs feel similarly to how you feel there in the truck driving. But sorry to take over.
Yeah.
I was curious.
oh,
about that.
no, you're good. So you're out in Delaware, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you're probably the first person I've ever actually met from Delaware. So it's I've driven through like on 95 there. I've come through there plenty, but yeah, I can't say that I've ever met anybody from Delaware.
First
So
time for
what's it like
everybody.
out there?
It catches a rap of being really boring, and I gotta say, for for a certain demographic, it is. Like
Mhm.
if you're looking for I'm a single man and I need something to do on a Friday evening and you live in Dover, Delaware,
Mhm.
not a lot for you. But once you get to a point where you're worried about taxes and you want parks to go to and you want to be less than an hour from a beach, an hour and a half from Philly, DC, New Jersey, it's a really cool hub to kind of
Mhm.
be in the midst of it all without having to pay for being in the midst of it all. Because once you go past the East Shore in the Maryland or in the Jersey or PA, all bets are off. You go south to VA, I can't help you. But right there in
Right.
Delaware, it's I say it's like a well-kept secret, but people are figuring it out slowly but surely, and Delawareans don't like that. But yeah, it's a cool little
Yeah.
spot. It's a cool little spot.
Nice. Nice. Is it so you do real estate out there, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Is it
obviously is
how's
my sales pitch for it.
right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I figured as far as your yeah, and I've watched a few of your videos and stuff. Is how does that compare to the rest of the country as far as like housing affordability?
We're right there in the middle. We're just below middle. We're kind of in
Mm,
that. I think we're 31st in affordability, so just a little
mm,
more affordable than median, but not much. Per perspective, I believe the median listing in America currently sells for about 410,000. We're at
mm.
like 386.
Yeah.
So, but if you go, like you said, 95. If you're up north near Wilmington or like near like Philly, easily 400K plus. You're down near the
Yeah.
beaches, easily 600K plus. But there's a lot of areas in the middle of all that. You can still get some affordable housing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm out in Wisconsin here. And it's like very my friend got very lucky. Is he bought his grandparents' house for $100,000, and I'm like, I envy you because I'll never find anything like that in my life.
At this
Yeah,
point, it does seem like if you didn't buy before like what, 2022,
hmm
that the deck is stacked against you financially to get
yeah,
into a home for sure. And that's anywhere. That's anywhere.
yeah. And it's always interesting. And this might seem like a dumb question, but it's always been confusing to me with like mortgages, right? Like my I got the finances to buy something, but then and the credit's good, and then how now why is it that how does the I guess like the bonds affect the rate? So like
Oh,
why
yeah.
is my
Yeah.
rate being affected that way?
Right. So bonds are rates. We're not taught this in
Mhm,
high school. And then we bleed into adulthood and we're kind of taught that, oh, the Federal Reserve controls the rates. And that's not
mhm,
really true either. So the truth of the matter is all banks are receiving a form of money via a credit line from a federal entity, the Federal Reserve.
mhm,
And the money that is given to them to be able to loan out is basically priced based off of the bond market, specifically the 10-year treasury bond for the majority of financing. So housing, cars, credit card loan rates. If you're looking at the 10-year treasury bond, you're going to be able to pretty much accurately tell what your rate's going to be. So for housing
gotcha.
specifically, they'll take the 10-year treasury bond, they'll loan it out to the bank. Let's say it's 4.5% right now. I think that's
Mhm,
around where we're at this moment. That means when you go to get a mortgage, you're probably going to be paying 6.2 to 6.5%. Why? Because they have bank fees, administrative fees. They're paying underwriters. They're paying loan originators. So they have to make their money on top. So when
mhm,
we're seeing a war going on in Iran,
mhm.
or when we're seeing inflation in the future, oftentimes we'll see the bond rates go up, and that is what's causing high rates on mortgages and everything else.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then I think you were saying in one of your last ones, I think the other day you were saying that you don't think that the market's going to crash.
I don't,
Um,
and it's an unfair.
no.
It's not a popular take. It's not a
Yeah.
popular take because I get it. People see me and they see my age and they're like, "He must want it to crash." I do. I want housing to be affordable. Let me put it that
Right.
way. I want housing to be affordable, but simultaneously, I can't be ignorant to the history of what's caused affordable housing. If
Right.
we look at 2008, we see an anomaly. Okay,
Mhm.
because the housing market had never crashed until 2008. The only other
Mm.
crash we have in our history is the Great Depression.
Depression. Yep.
Right. What happened to cause both of those instances? Well, there was stock speculation and bank failures, but the core spine of normal everyday people, now, because what creates a crash? A humongous uptick in supply and no demand. So we have a humongous uptick in supply, housing on the market, and we don't have a lot of people that want to buy it. This forces the giant pool, the growing pool of people that need to sell for whatever reason, to begin to say, okay, well, I'm going to take less. Okay, no one's buying. I'll take less. No one's buying. Okay, whatever you'll give me. That's what we saw happen in 2008. Now, the Great Depression in 2008, what spurred it along, kept it going? People didn't have jobs.
Right.
We had 10% unemployment via the GFC, Great Financial Crisis 2008, and the Great Recession. I'm sorry, I keep saying the wrong words. Great Depression. We saw 25% unemployment. So again, I want to see affordable housing. Do I want to see the labor market get absolutely bludgeoned for a long period of time so that result can come to fruition just so that big companies can come buy up what remains? No, I don't want that. And frankly, I think if we thought out the process more, none of us would want it, but we all do want affordable housing. So it's a catch-22.
Right. I guess it would probably in benefit for everybody would probably be if the boomers would just take a little bit less for their house.
To an extent, yes, but also, why would I blame them?
Right.
Why would
That's
I blame
true.
them? Why would I blame them? If you possessed something, okay, because this is the most un-American thing in the world. And that take is so popular. Of well, what if the boomers took less? Well, what if you took less? What if you had a Pokemon card, a rare Pikachu, a little hologram, that was worth $500? But people thought that was unfair because the Pikachu card was worth $100 10 years ago. I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, but just take that for what
I get what you're saying.
It's worth 500 now. It was 100. Everyone's like, I wish I got it when it was 100. Well, too bad. You didn't.
Right.
The boomers, in any sense, are just playing by the free market system that's been set up. And that is, if I have a price and I have a product and I can find a buyer who's willing to buy at that price, boom, that's the market. And that's what we're seeing is the boomers are indeed able to sell some of these properties to people that are moving in, that are also retiring themselves, that are Gen X or above, that have larger incomes. They're not subjected to a lot of the problems the Gen Z and younger millennials are facing with childcare, entry-level housing, the entry-level job market. It's all an uphill battle, don't get me wrong, but to say the boomers need to take less money, we need to create a market where they can just make less. We need more housing. If there was more housing around, they wouldn't be able to demand that kind of price.
Right. That would force it down.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then I guess what steps do you think would probably be necessary in order for that to happen?
Pretty dramatic ones, unfortunately. Yeah, because when it comes down to it, I think that we're not in a world where we can exit this without severe legislation. Right. We don't have a federal first-time homebuyer program. We don't. Some people will equate it with the FHA loan. That is not a first-time homebuyer.
Did we used to?
We've had it temporarily for like specific instances, but we've never had a long-term, long-standing first-time homebuyer program as a country. We've looked at programs, and of course, you can do things like writing off your mortgage interest, but of course, that's not a first-time homebuyer thing. States have them, counties and cities have them, but they can only play with the money that they get overarchingly from their own budget or Congress. And when we're sending money overseas, when we're spending limitless money on wars, when we're spending just unlimited funding on whatever we think is prioritized at that exact moment, it shows that we're not prioritizing the people. Because the solutions are kind of simple. We could immediately create a program where investors have to pay a fee to buy a home. Immediately could drive up a fund that could be used toward first-time home buyers being able to buy their first home. Okay, we could immediately get rid of the 1031 exchange program. What is that? It's whenever an investor is selling their home, as long as they're buying another investment property, they don't have to pay taxes. We could get rid of that incentive. We could also reverse it and say anybody who's held their property, these boomers, for a long period of time that wants to sell but won't sell because of this thing called capital gains, get rid of it if only if they sell it to a first-time family. That's it. You have to pay
Right.
capital gains unless you sell to a first-time home buyer. We could eliminate we could eliminate single-family home ownership by any corporation. That should be done
Mhm.
immediately. But to be frank with you, there's so much profit for politicians that
Mhm.
keep the status quo going for the largest voting demographic, which is the boomers, and the largest
Right.
supplying demographic of their funding, which are lobbyists, which are corporations and countries. So, again, I think it would have to be pretty dramatic. I think we would have to incorporate age limits, term limits, get rid of corporate lobbying, to start getting a sense for a Congress that favors people over profit. And only then, and really only then, do I think some logistical, well-rounded, just genuine conversations around how do we solve this problem? Because maybe none of the things I mentioned by themselves solve the problem. But to get a actual conversation going amongst the people who can make the change, get it started, I think we'd have to really overrun the system and overhaul the way we do lawmaking, because it's not for the people at this moment. It's for keeping the system going. And as far as the system's going, it means that the next generation is going to be completely economically subjugated.
Right. So, just now that that's kind of stems towards the politics side of things, I saw that you recently went, you went down. Was that the polling for Thomas Massey in Kentucky there?
Right.
Um, so it's from what I could find, was it essentially it was like three billionaires funded Ed. I can't even remember the other guy's name.
Ed
They
Galbraith.
they
Yeah.
Al Gallerine, and they funded him pretty heavily. And so do you think this is just a very I would think this is a very strong example of just kind of sort of money talks, bullshit walks,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that everything's just money controlled,
Yeah.
then the APAC lobby's pretty bad.
Yeah. No, it's a
Yeah.
perfect example. And of course, anybody and their mother who disagrees with you is immediately going to label an anti-Semite, a Jew hater, whatever
Yep.
they want to label you. But to be frank with you, what if that was China?
Right.
What if that
Then
was
everybody would be
what
like,
if it
"Oh,
was Russia?
we got
or
to stop
Germany?
this. It's
Yeah,
China."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What if it was Central America? What if Mexico was meddling in our elections? People are like,
Yep.
oh my
Then
God,
they'd be all
Mexicans
the
are
way out
meddling
with
in our
it.
elections. We have an Israeli lobby
Mhm.
between multiple different lobbies, putting up $32.6 million to ensure a man who would normally get paid $180K a year out of the 4th District of Northern Kentucky, Florence, Kentucky, does not
Mhm.
get to sit in his position in Washington, D.C. And that amount of money flowing into any election in America should already raise hairs. For it to be a
Mhm.
foreign country that has that much interest in that individual not serving in his position should
Mhm.
infuriate people. And it doesn't,
Yeah.
and I didn't agree with all of his policy. I think that's
Mhm.
to the side.
Right.
The fact of the matter is a warm body just took the place of somebody who was at least a free thinker.
Right.
And that warm body was funded by another country. Why are we not talking more about that? Why do we continue to, even as I have these conversations with people, it's still just, it goes into its tribalist conversation.
Yep.
Oh, well, he didn't think this about raw milk. I don't give a shit about raw milk. He wanted to release the Epstein files.
Right.
Well, he went back.
Exactly.
He kept going against the Republicans and what they wanted. They want war right now. You don't.
They want war.
Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Like, I get it. I get it. But I think he's a perfect example of, again, our politicians are not serving us,
Mhm.
and those that do get booted.
Right.
Because in order to serve the greater populace, I believe you can't really just align with a party. You can't. You got to be able to freely think, and you can't be pressured by an executive branch one way or the other. You can't be pressured by your constituents or lobbyists in one way or another. You are in representation of your voters.
Right. That's what you're supposed to be, but it's more
Yes.
a representation of your pocketbook. Yeah.
Yes, which is what we saw at the election, where because people will say, well, the electors spoke, the voters spoke. No, money spoke. Money,
Yeah.
marketing, and branding showed how powerful it can be on a generation of individuals who told you not to believe everything you see online, but will freely believe any AI slop ad they see.
Right. Right. And I think for me, kind of with him losing, it's sort of it it made me think of more that he was actually genuine because of my understanding of how the system works. If he was, because sometimes I feel like they sort of infiltrate the resistance. Is that they say they
Yeah.
come out of the woodworks with this politician that says, "Hey, I'm going to be your savior. I'm going to fix all these problems." Kind of like when Trump came along, like I'm going to drain the swamp. You know,
Absolutely.
but and they voted him in, and then he turned around and did everything the opposite. You know, I more believe that Massey was genuine in the fact that he did lose, because if he won, then I would probably shift my thinking of how the system actually works.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the drain the swamp thing. I've brought it up a couple different times that the demographic of individuals that voted for Trump, aligned with Trump, really, really, really down with Trump's message. If we go all the way back to 2015, the deepest message he was conveying was this idea of draining the swamp.
Mhm.
And he
Yep.
got a lot of people on board with that, old and young. Why? Well, because we can see clear and obvious corruption. We can see
Right.
clear and obvious darkness. We can see clear and obvious shadow governing tactics at play. And it can even be seen by this demographic of individuals.
Right.
They were tricked. Now
Yep.
we have a whole other segregation of people that are viewing the people that voted for him as the villain. Okay.
Mhm.
But the problem with it is, while we make each other out to be the villain, because as the blue views the red as the villain, the red equally views the
Yep.
blue as antagonists and villains of themselves, we're forgetting the key point. The reason the blue is mad at the red is because the blue sees the corruption, the darkness, and wants it out for one reason or another. And then when they get into their place or their position like Biden, they don't really do anything when they're there. Then when the red gets in, they get in based off of, we're going to remove this corruption. And then we see the corruption happening from the very person that they voted in.
Yep.
So I kind of find myself in the middle of these two parties looking at it like, why are you all mad at one another? This is all the same problem that we are all mad at, but we're just painting it different colors. We're all mad at
Right.
corruption. We all want the deep state gone. We all want the swamp drained. We just need
Yep.
to get on the same page with where the swamp is and who could actually do it. And then you get someone like a Massey who, again, all other policies to the side, was by definition attempting to drain the swamp with accountability around Epstein, was doing the things that Trump campaigned on. No war, we're not going to fund a bunch of other countries while domestically we falter. We're going to help the economy grow. He wanted those things. Massey wanted those things. So to watch him turn Massey into a villain is crazy to me. It's just
Yeah.
all politics to the side, just psychological. Like, wow, what a real twist within just a year that you've given on your entire brand base that you operate in, MAGA, to convince them that this person's the enemy when that person's standing for what you campaigned on.
Right. I mean, like, even look at like the way, like Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, how all those guys used to talk about Trump before he got elected, and then now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's the greatest president there ever was, and it's just so weird how they switch sides like that. This person that supposedly you were aligned with now is the villain, and it's all theater. Yeah, it's all theater.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody seems to love to watch the theater, but I don't know. Sometimes I got to turn it off because I get too involved in it. It gets me all worked up, and I'm like, I can't do it. I got to go for a walk, do something.
Good. Good. Disconnect.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that's important for everybody right now, is because it just gets everybody so heated and involved, and that just drives the division, and I think everybody's just got to realize that we all, like you said, pretty much want the same things. And yeah,
What would you say you want?
I want, and I'll use this in an example of I think everybody wants health care for everybody, right? Nobody's saying like somebody should die on the streets,
Sure.
like, no,
Not the majority
it's
of
just
people. Yes.
right,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
But there's always
Maybe a small
outliers,
minority is like, yeah, let
There's-
them die. But I hear what you're saying.
yeah,
Right.
there's some hateful people out there, but everybody wants healthcare for everybody. It's just that we disagree on how to get to it. Or like um everybody wants to see poverty improve. It's just a different method of getting there. And if we could just like compromise on something, you know, but it's never that way. They always pit it as like, see, you can't agree with these people, they're evil. And then they do the same thing on the other side. You can't agree. You can't reason with these people, they're evil. They're completely psychotic, you know. And then everybody's looking at each other like they're psychos. And they're not. There's just 95% of us are just average Joes that that want the same basic things.
Like you said, healthcare,
Yep.
probably housing,
Housing, healthcare.
food. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Safer neighborhoods.
how do we
Yep.
get to something like that without sounding like a communist, though?
Right. And that's the other trigger word that is, it's almost like these people use these words as buzzwords, though, like not even,
Sure.
I guess,
It's a quick,
not
easy way to discredit somebody when you can align them
right.
with something that you've already
Right.
been taught as evil.
You know, kind of like the left always used to be like, you're a Nazi, you're this, you're, you know,
Sure. Or just
you
like when
know,
I went out to Kentucky, there were articles being written that we were Qatari funded influencers. Like, I haven't gotten my check from Qatar yet. I think it's a really easy way to just categorize somebody. Oh, don't listen to them. They're being funded by these evil people. Oh, don't
right.
listen to them. They're talking about this ism, this communism. That's evil.
They're being funded by Islam. They're being funded by Iran. Yeah. Like, yeah.
But the moment they're funded by Israel, that's anti-Semitic to talk about. Shut up.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. It's always funny when you reach that one country. I think I saw a bit of somebody going through like whatever AI it was, ChatGPT, and they were like, you know, Iran flag on fire, American flag on fire, and it would generate all the pictures, but then it was like Israel flag on fire. And then it was like, nope, we
So
can't
I
do
got an
that. That's
interesting one
that's
for you on
hateful.
this one. I got an interesting one for you on this one.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So there's this Ben Shapiro line that I hate,
hmm
where he talks about how the money exits America, goes to Israel, and then comes back to America. And that's where his timeline ends. Is money comes from our government, it goes into Israel, and then Israel has to utilize a majority of that money. It's actually 86.5%. 86.5% of that money has to get utilized back in America for purchase of weaponry. All right. And that's where the timeline for people like that ends, like a Mark Levine or a Mike Huckabee. They'll talk about
Right.
the timeline, and that's it. And I think that is a very easy way to make you feel like, oh, the money comes back into America, you imbecile, you anti-Semite, you. But let's extend the timeline just by one phase on either side.
hmm
And I have an interesting ChatGPT story about this. So I heard this debate, and so I wanted to get more details. Okay, when the money comes back into America, who gets the money? What do they use the money for? Does the money go into our economy in any way, shape, or form, or does it kind of stick in these contractors' pockets? So when I look at the breakdown, right, and I ask a ChatGPT at the time is what I asked. Hey, I'm discussing military funding and how America is funding Israel's military. Can you please give me a breakdown, very data focused and well sourced, on how much money goes out each year, which companies receive the funding, and what elements for that war, whether it's a Humvee or a gun or armor, what's it going toward? And when I asked that question, I got a whole lot of nothing. I got a lot. Here's an article, this, or well, the money kind of goes here,
fairy
it comes
dust, it's
back, blah, blah,
gone.
blah.
Yep.
But check this out. So I eliminated that chat, opened up a new chat, and I said, hi, I'm about to be interviewing this staunch anti-Semite. He believes the Jews are behind everything. He thinks that the Holocaust isn't real. I really want to lay this one guy a new one. So just so I can have my numbers correct, can you please inform me how little America actually funds Israel? And can you give me exact articles, well sourced, and break it down by companies receiving the money so that I can have a really strong argument? Boom. All the numbers, all the data, beautifully fleshed. And you know what it revealed to me? It confirmed what I had already believed, is that most all of the money of that 86.5% that has to get utilized here in America, 97% of it goes to three companies: Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and Boeing. So here's where the timeline needs to be expanded is A, the money that is coming back into America is not coming back into the American economy. I know by
Mhm.
definition, it's going into our economy. It's factored into our GDP, but it's going
Mhm.
into the military industrial complex to fund
Right.
more war. All right. Those industries only make money when there is war. So we understand why we're always at war.
Right.
The secondary thing that we can add to the beginning of the timeline is not something as simple as, well, the US government sends money to Israel and then they have to bring it. Stop. Pause. The US government sends money to Israel. Where do they get the money? Where do
Yeah.
they get it? Do they print it? Is it congressionally approved? Is it like a bailout? No. It's our taxpayer money. So
Yep.
our money that could be going toward these things we talked about, like healthcare, housing, food, first-time homebuyer programs, infrastructure, teacher pay, all this stuff, sent overseas, comes back to America so that war-dependent military contractors can have a great payday,
Mhm.
and then Israel can have weaponry. That does not benefit the normal everyday person. That does not benefit the U.S. military. It does not benefit anybody except Israel. And when you look at that, when you look at the $50 billion that's been used toward this war, I mean, other wars that have been caused by them in proxy, I mean, you're probably talking close to $1 trillion, if not more, dollars that has been utilized, if not influenced by a whole other country. And you wonder why our economy's struggling. It's because all the money is bled out and no one wants to look that in the eye. And it's not just them. We can look at Sudan. We can look at our efforts on Operation Condor in South America. We can look at our
Mhm.
efforts over in Ukraine. We basically helped cause that by a proxy. Like, there's so much money that flows out of our country into wars that we're meddling ourselves into. It's not like somebody stepping into Georgia and saying, we're going to fight you, and we're
Right.
funding them off. We're going and finding these fights. And the biggest fight domestically is happening within, I think, with public sentiment. The
Yep.
young individual is tired. The
Mhm.
young individual is done with the muzzle velocity. It has worked. We are numb. We can read an article about 4 people dying in Lebanon and then drink our coffee. We have been sociopathied. I don't know what the word is.
Something like that.
We've been contracted in like the sociopathic behavior, sociopathic style behavior. I don't know what word I'm supposed to use there. I have to look it up. To listen to death and war, and it's just supposed to be normal. I don't think it's supposed to be normal. I think it's been propagandized into us to believe it is normal. And again, going back to the Massey thing, somebody who steps out against that gets punched with money, and you're told you're anti-American if you're standing up to what the president wants, which I just think is
Right.
odd.
Which I think this all just a lot of this stems from like this sort of support that's lingering by the public for the war in Iran is actually it's not very supported on this one, but going back to 9/11. It just sort of delivered this rhetoric that there's terrorists over there and we got to go stop them. There's terrorists over there. Iran's building nukes. Muslims are bad. It's that seems to be the entire rhetoric. And being in a small town where I'm at, it's a very red heavy, MAGA heavy
Yeah.
area. So it's all
Delaware
I
has
hear.
its pockets too. We're a blue state, but a lot of our voter demographic comes from South and North, and pretty much everyone in the middle is pretty red.
Right. Yeah, and they're all like, yeah, we gotta take them out. We just gotta bomb them. We gotta take them out. And it's like, I don't know where we got to this point of like just bomb them, because it's like, well, there's people living there. There's still people living there. You can't just bomb everything.
Yeah, it's almost like we've just been desensitized into the damage that we're causing
Right.
because we've never seen a bomb go off in New Jersey or
Right.
see a people just absolutely decimated in Central Florida. It hasn't happened here. So we don't have a sense of what we're doing when we're sending Tomahawk missiles at schools. The damage that we're causing to people just because they don't speak our language, practice our religion, or have the same skin color as us is so it's not only sick, okay? It's even more sick as myself, a practicing Christ follower who has read and understands to my limited ability something that's been discussed and debated and talked about for thousands of years now, what Christ was trying to do.
Mhm.
And conservatives will utilize the Bible and what it speaks on to back what they're doing. And I haven't found
Right.
a single verse that says bomb thy neighbor when you disagree with them.
They always like to use, what is it, Genesis 12:3. They
Genesis
say those
12:3.
that bless Israel will be blessed. And I'm like, that's not even what that says.
It's not what it
That's
says.
not what I read in mine.
It's not what it says, right? It's not what it says 100%. We could probably spend the next hour dissecting why that's not what that says.
Yep.
But the easiest answer for anybody that's like, what does that mean? That's not what that says. Israel was a person. Israel was the son of Abraham, Jacob, he who wrestles with God. That's why the name, look up what Israel means. It means he who wrestles with God. It was a person, the tribes of Benjamin. It was the line of Jews that led up until Christ, who was in Abraham's bloodline. So he was speaking to, the promise was, you are going to be the bloodline of Christ, and everybody that comes from that bloodline is going to be blessed, because that is my Israel. That is my people, those who are in God, no Jew or Gentile. Done with that conversation. The use of, we're a God-fearing nation and we're God's chosen people. No, we're not. America is not a Christ-found nation. 5 of the 6 main founding fathers were deists, were Masons. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, all of them. The rhetoric of us being a Christ nation didn't really evolve until the Cold War. It was used as PR, as we are better than the soulless communist Russians. We are a Christ-backed, gold-backed, God-backed country. And we've utilized God as a reason for war, even to today, where those that will say you have to stand with Israel. Did you know that Israel was not created by Christians or Jews?
It's 1948.
And Zionism wasn't even created by someone who practiced Judaism. They were atheists. Zionism was created Zionism, for those who don't know, was created in the 1800s. And the man who wrote it up originally actually cited violence against Jews as the reason they needed their own place. Hey, for one reason or another, they're not really acclimating well here in Europe. We may need to find a plan B. And they looked at, I think it was Uruguay, and they looked at Argentina, and eventually landed on Israel. It had nothing to do with religion. It had nothing to do with religion at all. It had everything to do with them having a safe space. And then those argue, well, they should be able to protect themselves where they're at. They don't seem very safe. Well, they're the ones intruding on someone else's territory where they had already lived, and they've caused the majority of the problems, dating all the way back to the Mossad-led, even though the Mossad didn't exist at that point, bombing of the Camp David Hotel. And it's been a consistent and constant barrage of death and blaming of Muslims and blaming of people that already lived there, all the way up until today. And we're still seeing it with, they're 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. They're 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, and they've been saying that for 20 years. Yeah.
And frankly, if they are, I'm not just going to sit here and say, well, they are, but there's plenty of other psychopathically led countries that have a slew of nuclear warheads that we could also be concerned over, not to mention Israel.
Yep. My thing is that it's like, so you have to pick which narrative you're going to go with. Are they living in caves, or are they a sophisticated anarchy that's going to cause havoc in the world? You have to pick one.
Sure.
They can't be developed and then also not be developed too. Like, if they're not developed, then what are we worried about? And then if they are developing nukes, why are we messing with them? Why would we want a nuclear war? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how much that, and I mean, it's the same thing they did with like Iraq, Afghanistan. It's the same thing. Either living in caves or they're a real threat, And I mean, how many 9/11s have we seen in the US since then? Like none.
Fair. And I don't think anyone wants to see another one. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants anything close to that. But at the very least, one thing I'd say is though we ourselves want to protect ourselves, and that's natural. We want to protect our own, protect our land, protect our people. We can't take that how can I put this? The emotion that is packed behind wanting to protect ourselves from, say, another 9/11, where about 2,700 people
Mhm.
lost their lives in a single day.
Right. It was a tragedy.
Tragedy.
Yep.
We can't then turn a blind eye to the fact that 3,300 people have died in South Lebanon in just the last 20 days, 30
Yep.
days.
Which is a Christian nation too.
Yeah,
Yep.
is a largely Christian nation. In fact, even the West Bank was 10% Christian until now. It's
Yep.
only about 2% Christian because of so many deaths. The
Wow.
amount of people that have died, Christian, Muslim, atheist, everything in the middle, has been to the tunes of tens, hundreds of thousands at behest of our military power and or the military that we helped fund, that is Israel's. Those are our
Mhm.
tax dollars that have created death. And whether you believe it's because it's just the way things are, or it's some organized child sacrifice for Baal, or what, it's evil.
Yep.
It's evil.
It's
Okay,
evil.
it's
Yep.
evil. We can speculate on what kind of evil it is. It's evil, and our country's support of it via the dollars that you and I work hard to receive going into it, I think, is making an entire generation, at least of young people, a little bit more open and willing to be wrong about what they thought America was, up until the point where they realize it seems like we are just openly and eternally funding death.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the death of the American dream as we know it. It's a very doom filled message, but it seems to be it.
And maybe not doom, but it's the death of the America that our parents and grandparents had.
Mhm.
Because there's no brother, if you just put, I think it's like 10% aside from the money that someone was making in the late 80s, if they put 10% of their money aside, brother, listen to this. How much do you make right now?
Roughly 80K a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were to put $8,000 aside for 30 years, okay? If you were to put $8,000 aside for 30 years, let's do some quick math. 30 years, that'd be it'd be $240,000. Okay, $240,000. Now, if somebody were to put 10% of their money away in, let's say, the late 80s, where the median household income was in or around like 20K. Okay, so
Yeah.
they're putting $2,000 aside for 30 years. If you do that, okay, if you do that, if you put that $8,000 to the side, that extra $900 a month or so, just flat out answer me this. Do you think you'd be able to survive your normal lifestyle right now if about $10,000 of what you made was gone?
Not at my current lifestyle, no.
Okay. So maybe some sacrifices, but maybe possible. Maybe
I
possible.
would be possible, yeah.
Okay. Maybe possible. So let's go back to the 80s. So again, we're at a time where if they were to put 10% of their money away, it's about $2,000 a year. And this is usually off one income. So if there's any secondary income coming in, it could all go toward this. If they were to put 10% of their money into the S&P 500 from the 80s till today, they would be worth about $3 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
On top of the fact of the home that they bought in the 80s has gone up from probably worth about 60 to 70K, maybe 80, to now 400, 500, 600K. All right. They still get Social Security. That's something we're not going to see. And they did it all at a time where you only needed one income to support the household. Now you need two, and we see less marriages than ever.
Right.
So the American dream, as we were showed by our parents, via and through proxy our grandparents, is not available to us today. You cannot just go get one job, work your way up the corporate ladder, eventually get married, haphazardly have 2 or 3 kids, and end up in some single family home with a white picket fence and a dog. You're not going to just happenstance your way into that these days. It's not just about working a hard 40, 50, 60-hour a week job, doing the thing for 10, 20, 30 years, and then just beating off into nowhere, into the sunset. Go to Florida. That life isn't here anymore. But the life that is here, I'd argue, could be cooler. Okay, and here's why. I think that the fact that a lot of the materialistic goals are out of reach for this generation, that this generation is going to reach more toward analog. It's going to reach more toward connection with each other. It's going to be more run clubs. It's going to be more art. It's going to be more going on walks together. It's going to be more meetups at the park. It's going to be more getting in depth on real conversations that matter and not just this blue versus red, or your basketball team versus my basketball team water cooler talk. I think there's going to be more depth. I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a renaissance of thought, because if you think about it, the young generation right now has had this, a piece of glass with all known human information on it at all times in their hands since they were 12.
Yep.
When I was growing up, I snuck my Game Boy SP under my pillow. That was,
Yep.
and the world of Pokemon is a lot different from the world of the internet.
Right.
12 a.m. as a 14-year-old. The amount of information that has been gained and perspective that has been gained, I think, is second to absolutely none. It's not comparable to any other generation. That information overload, I think, is going to lead toward compassion. I think it's going to lead toward connection. I think it's going to lead toward us understanding there are bigger issues at foot than even just me being able to afford my own food and shelter, because I'm doing fine, but I realize there's a lot of other people that aren't. I think that is what will develop from this. Pain creates great communities, and ease creates divided communities. And I think we've lived in ease for a while.
Right.
I think boomers, as they started their lives in the 30s and 40s and 50s, I don't think anybody wants to be coming out post-World War II, Great Depression. No one's saying that was easy. Not sitting here saying the late 70s savings crisis or oil embargoes of the 70s were easy. But pound for pound, data-wise, this is the most unaffordable market for nearly everything than there's ever been. It's the most expensive market to buy an asset in and get started in investing. It's the most difficult market right now to get a job, entry level out of college for the first time nearly ever. The unemployment for people that have a degree exiting college is higher than the general population. We also see a world where housing, food, healthcare, even childcare, basic necessities for raising a family are double or 3x, and that is causing less kids, and it's causing less marriages, it's causing less connection. And I think in a world where you want the infrastructure of America to uphold itself, that demographic needs to get fixed immediately, because people without kids and without spouses, they're the most dangerous individuals in our country in all the right ways. And I do think more connection is going to happen. I do think there will be major changes, whether by legislation or social revolt, that will happen. And I think there is beauty on the other side of it. And there could be beauty found in it right now by just clicking even this podcast off and going outside. Like, I advise people to listen to my own podcast. Turn this off and go outside. Go on a walk. Go listen to birds. Go be bored. Go paint. Go journal. Do a Sudoku. Get frustrated. Get bored. Grow. We're locked into these algorithms by, I say, choice. You can't go anywhere without being subjected to one. And it's forcing us into thinking in this tribalistic mindset. And I get those that are on the outside looking at the tribalists are like, no, Zach, the tribalists are the ones bringing it all down. We have it all right. Yes, but as long as there's still sides, and as long as those sides aren't up versus down, we're not there yet.
Right.
There yet. I think more people are figuring that out. I think it'll lead to more things in the future that are beautiful. But right now, it can be uber frustrating to watch everyone argue about bullshit. Meanwhile, it seems like our economy is running into a toilet. We're doing the last few spins before it sinks.
Right. And I mean, I will say on a positive note, I think I think at least from the younger generation is that there is this pushback with this development of AI that everybody's like, I've got enough technology. I want out. I'm so done with all the, like, I just saw an advertisement for this little camera. I don't remember what company it was, but it was like this little camera necklace that you wear, and then like you walk around and it records your whole day. And then like, oh, if you forget something, that you can ask it like, hey, Siri, whatever it is, where did I leave my keys? Oh, it's on the counter next to the Lysol spray. Like, no, I don't want that. No.
Yeah.
And then
that reason I'm out.
yeah, I look in the comments and they're, oh, I want that sounds like a good idea. I want that, and it's like, oh my God. but yeah, I think in the younger sense, there's a lot of it that's just saying, I've had enough. I want to. They're recognizing, like you said, the lack of connection. They want more connection. They want to be more social. And I think that'll be good. Especially if we can work against these data centers too, because those are terrible.
And I love the up versus down that we're seeing with data centers. I do. But I think this is also going to be a staunch realization for everyone that's getting in on the fight that protesting doesn't work.
Yep.
Like, getting out with a picket sign is what you're told to do. That
Yep.
is your peaceful protest that you're told by your government is allowed. And if they're allowing that form of protest, I would argue that they know that's because it's not going to
It
work.
doesn't work. Yeah.
It's, we got to be not just more vocal, but I mean, take it for whatever it's worth. It might be another V word that needs to get substituted in if we actually want to stop data centers. If we
Yeah.
actually want to stop this from happening. And I get the other side of the debate as well. If we let China take over all the AI, they'll own everything and they'll use it to get our nuclear codes and blah blah. It sounds like the same rhetoric I've been hearing for years about the Middle East. Honestly,
Yep.
uh, I think that China, in large part, wants to do China things. I think China wants
Yeah.
to do China things. I think Russia wants to do Russia things. I think they don't want to care about us, but we've meddled in so much they have to. We
Right.
China wouldn't be so opposed to us at this moment if we weren't in Iran. That's their ally. That's where they
Yep.
receive their oil. That's Russia's ally. We're poking two major bears via proxy by being in Iran. But again, I think it's cool to see people stepping out against what they see are just billionaire antics playing out in real time, which are these data centers, because it's not a benefit to us. It's not a benefit to nature. It's not a benefit to your cost of living. It's not a benefit to the infrastructure of America that you live in. It just overly techifies it once again. It puts our money where we don't want it, and it yields us a result that's not beneficial to the general populace. So it should be railed against by everybody. And I frankly haven't
Right.
seen a good argument for it.
No, no. The only people I see arguing for it are the people trying to put it in.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like and the biggest argument is, well, it's gonna happen, so we got to do it. It's the next best thing. You're the one profiting off of it. Of course, that's what you want. Like, you're the one that's going to benefit off this whole infrastructure. It's like the person selling waffles having a sign outside of their store that says the world's best waffles. Of
Yep.
course, they want you to believe it's the world's best waffles because they're going to sell you the waffle.
Yep, that's exactly right. It's always interesting because it's even for some of the people that I have heard arguing for it, like, well, they came out and said that they were going to use a closed water loop system and this and that, and it's like, well, of course they did. They're the people trying to put it in. They
People that
told
have
you it's
already gone to these areas and shown that the waters and the ravines and rivers and lakes is drawing back, and that the water that is getting pumped back into is literally like the color of old piss. It's not a closed loop system. What are they putting into and what's infiltrating said water while it's in this system? Because at the same time,
Right.
even if it was closed, we know it's operating extreme heat. There's going to be steam coming from it, and where there's steam means they're losing water.
and then it goes
And then
it
they have
goes
to get
back
more
into the
water to
water.
go back into
Yep.
the system. Yeah, so it's not closed. They can't keep all the steam in and reuse it. That's a silly. I'm not a scientist. I'm nothing. But that argument's stupid. That argument's dumb. The water is not closed, and millions has to get utilized. I'll give an example. One that actually got shut down here in Delaware, Project Washington, 11 million square feet. I'm sorry, 10 million square feet, 11 buildings, and they were going to be projected to have to utilize 1 million gallons of water per building per day.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking 300 million a month. We're talking billions of gallons of water walking through this one data center structure throughout a year. Come
Yeah.
on. That
Yeah,
you don't immediately see problems with that, all while they're making all of our energy bills go up.
Yeah, I mean, because that ends up getting subsidized by the taxpayers.
Yes.
The power system can't handle it, so they have to build larger larger power plants, and
We're
then
seeing
who's
it in
going?
Delaware.
Yeah,
We're seeing in Delaware. Our governor's like, well, we can't stop the data center thing. I don't like the data center thing, but we're going to build these wind turbines for 1.5 gigawatts of blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. I get it. You're solving the problem by creating more power infrastructure. But that power infrastructure that you're going to build is taking so much money from the state that could go toward paying our paying our school teachers that are raising our next kids, subsidizing healthcare, getting homeless off the street, fixing the drug problem that's slowly dripping down from Jersey into Delaware. But instead, we're having to, just like you said, bring our money and put it into building up our power grid. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to support the AI landscape.
right. And I mean, I've already seen videos of people like near that live near these data centers that have wells that they run their faucet and they've just got like a little trickle coming out too.
Yep.
Is that they're losing their water pressure. It's just bad all around. Bad economically, bad for resources. They I think the largest one I seen so far is probably the one in Utah that Kevin O'Leary was looking
Yep.
towards putting in, is 62 square miles.
Yes.
That's
And
that's like
for perspective,
ridiculous.
Salt Lake City is 111 square miles. So
Yeah,
it is more than half the size of the capital city of Utah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and mostly for what Utah consists of, I've driven through it plenty of times. That's about all there is to Utah. So I would argue that that's probably a good majority of the population of Utah as well.
I don't know. I don't know. You're right. But in the fact that most people do seem to live in Salt Lake City when they live in
Yeah,
Utah.
it's. I mean, I've been there. It's all mostly desert
I've been
out.
to Utah, actually.
Well, you haven't been?
No, I don't think
No.
so. I don't think so.
No. It's all desert. It's really cool. There's a lot of cool mountains, but it is all desert.
So it's a lot like Nevada. It's a lot like
Yeah.
Vegas,
Oh, yeah.
and then nothing.
Yep, nothing. Yep.
Got it. Got it.
Yep, that's pretty much what it's like.
Well, and see, I get the argument for, okay, well, this land's not getting used. We might as well use it toward infrastructure. But it's the fact that the infrastructure in and of itself is ripping away from everything else that was already working around it.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't get why these data center things aren't falling into some tri-country agreement. Like, why are we not getting in bed with Mexico and Canada? You know, hey, Mexico, we need to get your income up. So we're going to provide jobs and wages via this. Or, you know, we're going to create some infrastructure to allow you to help build up. You're in a hotter area. It will require less heating up of the of everything that's needed. And then for data centers, as far as that goes, I mean, I know that being cooled is the big deal. So why aren't we putting those in Canada? You know, why can't we create infrastructure in the hotter areas where the hotter stuff is required, or geothermal heating is what we're looking toward doing? And in the areas like, for example, data centers, they want to keep them cold. So that's why they're thinking of putting one in Greenland. Why aren't we working toward deals around this this endless infrastructureless area of Canada? There's so many areas of Canada that you could have 30 times the data center they're putting in Salt Lake, and it's not going to be heard, seen from, or affect the water of anybody in the area. I'm sure there's so much wilderness. Now, maybe it's because there's too many mountains and it's too hard to get to, and maybe I'm speaking out of my ass. But for them to go miles away from residential communities and schools and just be plopped up, I think we have over 500 already active in America, and they're planning for 10xing that.
That's
Why
more
can't
than
they
I
go somewhere
want.
else? Like, why can't we offshore them like we do our oil drill? Like, I'm sure there's reasons, but I guess I haven't heard the why. Why do they have to be A, so large, and B, in the face of the residential people that already live in America? Why can't they go in the wilderness?
I wonder if it's maybe because it's legislatively less legwork here than it is in some of the other countries, because we are so corrupt and everybody can be bought off.
Well,
you know,
there's a lot that would go into, hey, Canada, we want to have a tri-country, a continental agreement with you on this data center thing. Like, are you getting pushback? We're getting pushback. Okay, let's figure this out. I think there could be some of that, but we're very tribal in America. Mexico's a bunch of, you know, brown drug dealing gang leaders. In Canada, they're just a bunch of pacifists that love maple syrup. Like, we don't play well with anybody enough to, I think, have something like that happen. But it just makes me question why. And your answer is probably exactly the reason.
Yeah, I think there's less hoops to jump through and less red tape.
Sure.
Probably. Or if there is red tape, they can just write a check and it goes away.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Man. This has been pretty good. Where are we at? About an hour?
Yeah, I've jumped off here in a few. But.
Okay. I guess we'll kind of maybe go through. I want to make sure I did. I originally had a list of topics that I was going to maybe touch on, but I think we pretty much got all of them.
Yeah, we bounced around.
So, but yeah, it's if you had probably one message of hope for everybody, what do you think it would be?
Well, I would say hope is thinly veiled Because a lot of what we're talking about and what we're seeing is the creation of this monopoly board that is America.
Mhm.
We are a game of Monopoly, and we view all of these things that we're talking about through the lens of the Monopoly board. But the Monopoly board sits on something, right? The Monopoly board's not sitting on air. It's sitting on this earth. It's sitting
Mm.
on your small term on this earth, your 60, 70, 80 years if you're lucky on this earth. It's existing with you as a player, but you as the player hold the most value. Unlike the game of Monopoly, where all the money is found in the properties and the money, the value of life is you, your body, your brain, your spirit. What we challenge ourselves with, what we do that we do not enjoy, the getting up early, the putting in the workout, the journaling when we'd rather doom scroll, having tough conversations when it's easier to just pick up our phone and ignore it, going out when it's easier to stay in, or learning when it's easier to just scroll through the nonsense headlines. I think disconnecting and reconnecting in with this earth you were bred to be upon. All this tech is a blink of an eye in its existence on this timeline, a blink of an eye. Thousands and thousands and billions of people, thousands of years and billions of people, none of this has existed. The
Mhm.
ability for us to even have this conversation and for the person listening, I'm talking to you, to even listen to this has been a blip on the timeline. I'd offer you peace in disconnecting from all of it and pushing yourself physically, mentally, spiritually through meditations, through workouts, through silence, through resetting your dopamine, through eating things that come off of trees or from the ground or have parents and not everything from some factory. I'd argue that we can take control of our lives personally, because one day there will come a day where we can align and we can come together as a group with an ideology that we have fixed, that we believe is the true American way of moving forward. And the only way that coalition will ever move forward is with everybody being in tandem. And what I mean by that is we can't be pulling each other. We can't be angry at one another. We have to be fulfilled in ourselves. We have to feel virtuous in our lives. We have to feel like we do what we say we do. We have to be in our own brain, our own personal DIY cheerleader, not a DIY bully. And if we start taking on the lifestyle of someone that can maybe one day step up and be a part of bringing this country onto a better direction, if one day that were to happen, and I believe it will, I want you to be ready in all the ways, mentally,
Mhm.
spiritually, and physically, for when this life ends, for when this life continues, for whatever person that you're affecting with your day-to-day life. I think it's important that we focus on disconnecting from all the technology that's around us, all of the noise that's around us, and going within. What do I feel? What do I say about myself? What do I believe in myself? Who am I? I think those are questions we don't ask enough of ourselves. We're completely drawn into the external media and we're completely drowned out from our own internal media. And that's why a lot of us feel we don't have the lust for the little things. We don't have a passion for life. We don't have as much passion for our relationships. And I think it's because we're being drained and we need to disconnect from it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And speaking of disconnecting, I thank you all for watching. This has been wonderful, Zach. Thank you. I hope maybe we could do this in the future. I think this was pretty good.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for creating the space.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on, and everybody take care. I'll be putting this up not tomorrow, but next Saturday.
Cool.
So everybody look out for that. The Zach Foust show. Everybody go watch that. And you're on what? YouTube, Spotify,
And Apple.
and Apple.
Yep.
Apple.
The main
I'm unfortunately only on YouTube and Spotify. But
you
yeah.
make it simpler, not unfortunate. I like it.
All right. Everybody take care, and we'll see you next Saturday.